Assalamualaikum Tun. Terima kasih Tun kerana sudi bersiaran dalam podcast ini dan beri saya peluang untuk jadi host dalam podcast kali ini. Because podcast kali ini memang istimewa lah Tun. Pada hari ini Tun sambut hari jadi Tun yang ke-100. Pertamanya tak ramai orang yang dapat sambut hari jadi yang ke-100. But more than that Tun sambut hari jadi Tun yang ke-100. I would say in style. Dengan penuh orang kata you are still very sharp. Tiap kali ada orang yang jumpa Tun, bila saya jumpa kat luar dia kata, oh the man is still very sharp. Dia kata you still ada witty lagi orang kata. And Tun punya sarcasm tak hilang. So when you woke up pagi tadi Tun, apa perasaan Tun? I mean orang lain yang tunggu nak sambut Tun yang benda ni berdebar-debar. Macam mana rasa Tun masa Tun bangun pagi tadi?
Tadi pelik sikit. Normally saya bangun pukul 6.30.
Ya.
Pagi ni saya tak tengok jam. Saya ingat dah bunyi dah. Saya mandi apa semua pakai apa. Tengok jam pukul 5. Baru pukul 5. Jadi saya tak ada apalah.
Ya.
Normal lah. Ya. Saya duduk atas kursi, saya lena. Duduk lena. Normal. Tak ada
beza apa-apa. Cumanya Tun terbangun awal. Awal daripada biasa tu bangun.
Tak biasalah pukul 5. Dia tak biasa bangun pukul 5.
Ya, I mean based on apa yang saya selalu dengar pasal Tun lah. Tun punya disiplin tu tidur pukul 12, pukul 5.30, 6 Tun bangun according like clockwork orang kata kan Tun, you know. Yes, tapi Tun ya mencapai umur 100 tahun dalam keadaan Tun yang masih lagi tak berhenti bekerja Tun. Apa yang buat Tun rasa yang Tun perlu bekerja lagi? I mean, orang lain mungkin enjoy pergi holiday dekat apa, overseas ke apa tu, you know.
Saya tak boleh fikir, duduk tak buat apa-apa. Duduk melengung, kata orang Kedah, duduk melengung saja. Kita kena buat sesuatu. Dan bagi saya, ramai yang datang, jumpa, minta saya nasihat, tolonglah. Buat sesuatu dan sebagai macam-macam lah. Jadi saya interact dengan banyak orang dan mereka tunjuk interest dalam masalah negara. Dan bagi saya yang saya beri perhatian sejak saya aktif dalam politik ialah berkenaan dengan prestasi negara. Jadi bila mereka cakap berkenaan negara, saya respon. Saya fikir kita perlu buat sesuatu untuk kita pulih semula
keadaan itu. Tun, kalau kita lihat Tun ya, 100 tahun Tun mula dalam orang kata apa ni, aktif ataupun start memikirkan bukan masalah di Tun sajalah, fikir masalah negara, masalah politik. Tun bermula dalam umur 15-16 tahun Tun dah start. So maknanya kalau 100 tahun kita tahu 16 tahun tu dah hampir 84 tahun Tun. Kalau kita take from umur 16, 84 tahun Tun. Apa yang Tun rasa kalau kita ambil the first quarter lah, apakah yang Tun lakukan daripada umur Tun kata 16 tu sampai umur 25? Apa yang Tun buat, yang Tun ingat?
Ya, saya dari kecil lagi, saya lihat keadaan yang tidak menyenangkan hati saya. Saya dapati bahawa orang Melayu tak berniaga. Tak ada kedai Melayu. Di Alor cuma 1.5 kedai Melayu. Yang lain semua bukan Melayu. Jadi saya tertanya-tanya, kenapa macam ini? Dan zaman itu zaman British. Kita tak boleh nak buat apa. Dasar-dasar semua ditentukan oleh British. Dan bagi British keadaan sebegitu mereka senang. Kerana mereka amal divide and rule. Jadi kalau dia asingkan kaum-kaum, bagi mereka ini memudahkan pentadbiran mereka. Lepas itu mereka buat cadangan nak buat Melayu Union. Melayu Union bermakna dia nak jadikan negara kita ini tanah jajahan takluk British. Koloni. Itu saya tak boleh terima. Walaupun saya pada masa itu dalam sekolah, saya tak boleh terima nak negara kita ini nak dirampas oleh pihak British. Pada masa itulah saya mula aktif dalam bidang politik bersama-sama dengan rakan-rakan daripada sekolah pada masa itu.
So kalau apa yang kata kesedaran politik Tun bermula masa zaman Malayan Union ataupun orang kata kebangkitan semangat Tun mula aktif dalam politik secara direct bila Tun jadi wakil rakyat pada tahun 1964. Masa tu umur Tun would be 39 tahun ya. 39 tahun ya tu. Masa itu apa pandangan Tun pada keadaan negara pada tu? Apa yang Tun rasa as you were active di that time? Apa yang Tun ingat?
64 bermakna kita sudah merdeka.
Ya.
Jadi bagi saya tak ada benda nak buat lagi kerana kita dah capai matlamat kita nak merdekakan negara kita. Ya. Tetapi saya minta supaya mengambil bahagian dalam politik, menjadi wakil rakyat. Dan mereka calonkan saya pada 64 dan saya menang. Saya menang, memberi peluang kepada saya lebih aktif dalam arena politik. Itulah permulaannya saya terlibat secara langsung dengan politik negara.
Okey. Fast forward. Tahun 69 Tun kalah. Dan lepas tu Tun kata the infamous surat Tun pada Tengku. Tun dibuang daripada UMNO. Tun were in the political wilderness, kata-kata di dalam keadaan tidak ada platform sebenarnya. Apa perasaan? Adakah Tun lihat masa tu that is the end of Tun punya political career ke, ataupun Tun rasa sudahlah saya tak mau minat ke, ataupun saya nak lawan lagi kuat ke? Apa perasaan Tun masa tu?
Ya, pada masa itu Aziz Ishak yang jadi menteri dalam kerajaan disingkir oleh
Tengku
dan dikeluarkan daripada UMNO. Jadi bila saya disingkir, saya berpendapat bahawa tamatlah peranan saya dalam politik dan saya akan jadi macam Aziz Ishak, ada peluang lagi. Tapi alhamdulillah pada tahun 72 71 apabila Tun Razak ambil alih kepimpinan UMNO, dia mengarah supaya saya diterima balik. Dan saya pun buat permohonan, akhirnya diterima balik sebagai ahli UMNO. Bermakna bahawa politik saya ni bermula semula. Saya terlibat dengan politik. Dan lepas itu apabila ada pertandingan pilihan raya tahun 74 ni tahun
74
74 saya bertanding dan saya menang.
Selepas tu Tun jadi apa ni, bila Tun Razak dah tak ada, Tun naik jadi timbalan Perdana Menteri dan jadi Perdana Menteri. So the story is this, Tun. Dalam masa tempoh sebelum Tun jadi Perdana Menteri, apakah yang Tun ingat, seingat Tun lah, perkara yang very significant pada hidup Tun? I mean, selain daripada pengaruh mak bapak Tun, apa yang signifikan selain daripada Tun Razak? Apa yang signifikan pada Tun yang mungkin orang tak tahu, yang Tun tak pernah cerita ke, betul?
Saya pada masa itu saya dah buat lawatan ke banyak negara-negara lain. Dan saya dapati ada negara yang maju, ada negara yang gagal. Jadi saya bertanya-tanya, kenapa ada negara yang maju? Apakah mungkin kita juga jadi maju? Jadi bila saya tak ada perancangan, cuma bila jadi Perdana Menteri, saya fikir guna kuasa Perdana Menteri itu untuk memajukan negara seperti negara-negara yang maju yang lain ini memajukan negara mereka. Saya perhatikan terutamanya Jepun lah. Saya lihat Jepun ni dia pulih dengan cepat. Dalam perang Jepun punya negara Jepun ni hancur. Kerana mereka bangunan mereka dibuat dengan kayu dan kertas. Dan dia kena incendiary bomb, terbakar habis. Tokyo tu tinggal 1/3 saja daripada bangunan Tokyo yang masih terdiri. Jadi mereka, bila saya buat lawatan pada tahun 1961, wah, dia dah pulih semula dah, tak ada nampak kesan
perang
lah. Jadi kalau mereka boleh buat, apakah kita tak boleh buat?
So bila Tun jadi Perdana Menteri, Tun, masa tu saya ingat, masa tu saya masih di universiti lah, Tun. Orang kata Tun ni macam a man in a hurry. Orang yang macam tak sabar, semua nak kena buat masa itu juga, orang kata. So adakah because Tun rasa tempoh Tun untuk jadi PM tak lama, ataupun Tun rasa benda tu bila fikir you have to do it immediately, kena buat masa tu juga? Macam mana pemikiran Tun masa tu?
Sebelum saya ada 3 Perdana Menteri. Tunku Abdul Rahman jadi Perdana Menteri selama 13 tahun. Tun Razak cuma 5 tahun. Tun Husin pun 5 tahun saja. Jadi saya pun pendapat, saya juga mungkin dapat 5 tahun saja. Kalau nak buat apa pun, buat cepat-cepat. Masa itulah. Secepat mungkin. Dan ada jugalah orang yang nak lihat saya berhenti supaya mereka boleh ambil alih. Tapi bagi saya masa tak cukup. Masa nak buat tak cukup. Pasal saya banyak idea macam mana nak buat. Jadi saya tak berpendapat bahawa tak ada masa. Masa is a problem dengan saya dari awal lagi. Tapi
sampai sekarang pun Tun macam tak cukup masa. Tun kerja, dah masuk kerja, masih masuk macam orang kata apa ni, macam Tun PM dulu lagi lah orang kata, masuk by 8:30, pukul 8:30, pukul 9. Sekarang Tun tak ada kena punch card dah, walaupun Tun introduce punch card, tapi Tun still datang, orang kata like clockwork precision, orang kata datang cepat, ikut time. I mean, tak adakah Tun rasa yang ada masa yang probably Tun kena slow down sikit? Tak terasa ke Tun?
Sebelum saya jadi menteri, saya jadi seorang doktor preman, ni private doctor. Dan semasa itu saya bekerja kuat. Masa kerja dengan kerjaan pun saya bekerja kuat, siang dan malam. Kadang-kadang kena duty sampai seminggu, 24 jam sehari sampai seminggu. Dan saya buat, pasal saya anggap itu kerja doktor. Takkanlah orang nak beranak pukul 3 pagi, kita nak bagi tahu kat dia tolong tunggu sekejap. Tak boleh lah. Jadi kita kena buat kerja sepanjang masa. Dan itu menjadi satu amalan saya yang bagi saya normal. Jadi bila saya jadi Perdana Menteri, saya jadi menteri pun, saya berpendapat masa tak banyak. Jadi saya kena guna masa sepenuhnya. Seperti mana sebagai doktor, saya tak kira waktu mana, siang ke malam ke, saya buat kerja. Jadi menteri pun saya buat kerja siang dan malam.
Tapi Tun, kadang-kadang Tun, mungkin kerana Tun begitu orang kata disiplin dalam menjalankan kerja-kerja Tun apa semua, kadang-kadang mungkin kerana itu tak selari dengan orang-orang yang bekerja di sekeliling Tun. Mungkin itu buat orang rasa tak selesa dengan Tun.
Saya ni nak cepat. Saya berjalan pun cepat. Biasanya kalau kita ada rombongan, saya di depan sekali dan saya berjalan lebih jauh daripada orang lain. Jadi pasal saya nak guna masa sepenuhnya. Tak mau habiskan masa waste time, tak boleh. Ada masa kita buat kerja. Jadi kerja, dan saya suka kerja saya. Kan bagi saya bekerja untuk membangunkan negara itu satu kegiatan yang menyeronokkan saya. Saya berasa seronok. Saya boleh contribute, saya boleh beri sumbangan sedikit kepada kemajuan negara. Jadi saya tak berasa letih. Saya boleh buat kerja siang dan malam.
Dia bagi Tun satu kepuasan, saya rasa tu. It gives you a satisfaction.
Satisfaction memang ada. Kalau kita buat sesuatu untuk negara dan tercapai matlamat, itu memberi kepuasan. Saya bukan kira apa saya nak dapat duit. Duit saya tak kira. Saya kira nak buat sesuatu sehingga berjaya.
Tun. Trademark Tun tu, yang dari segi Tun punya apa ni, komitmen, dedication tu Tun, itu jadi trademark Tun, disiplin dan sebagainya. Tapi di masa yang sama juga kadang-kadang kita nak tanyalah Tun, dalam Tun buat semua tu, dia banyak milestone dalam hidup Tun. Apakah milestone ataupun apa ni, pencapaian yang Tun berasa kepuasan yang lebih. I mean, semua tu kalau kita berjaya memang ada kepuasan, tapi apa yang ada kepuasan yang mungkin buat Tun rasa lebih special daripada pencapaian yang sebelumnya ataupun selepasnya? Ada tak tu yang Tun boleh kongsi?
Saya tidak ada perancangan. Saya tak tahu saya boleh jadi menteri. Saya ingat saya jadi wakil rakyat biasa sajalah. Tapi saya dilantik oleh Tun Razak jadi menteri. Jadi itu satu milestone lah bagi saya. Bukan saya pilih. Biasanya nak jadi menteri, kita jadi setiausaha politik, lepas tu kita jadi timbalan menteri, lepas tu baru kita jadi menteri. Tapi Tun Razak lantik saya terus daripada wakil rakyat jadi menteri. Jadi itu satu petanda, satu tahap ataupun milestone yang mempunyai banyak kesan kepada saya.
Tun, masa Tun mula jadi menteri, first time Tun jadi menteri Trade and Industry, Tun, what was the cabinet post yang Tun pegang, portfolio? Menteri Education pun Tun pernah pegang, Trade and Industry pun Tun pernah pegang, kalau tak salah saya.
Saya pindah daripada Education kepada Trade and Industry ini kerana ada rakan yang kata kepada saya, sebagai timbalan Perdana Menteri, saya tak patutlah jadi Menteri Pelajaran. Tak ada international exposure. Sepatutnya saya jadi Menteri Dagangan. Sebenarnya niat dia tu supaya saya kosongkan Kementerian
Education.
Jadi Menteri Pelajaran ni pada masa itu kebanyakan daripada ahli dan pemimpin UMNO terdiri daripada guru. Guru dibenar berpolitik.
Masa itu
Jadi kalau saya duduk dalam Kementerian Pelajaran, pengaruh saya besar dalam UMNO menjadi kuat. Jadi ada orang yang fikir jangan bagi saya jadi terlalu kuat lah. Dia kata kononnya tak eloklah nak jadi Menteri Pelajaran, patut ada international exposure dan sebagainya, dan saya terima keikhlasan orang yang cerita
bagi cadangan tu. Saya tak nak tanyalah pada Tun, kecuali Tun nak cerita siapa yang bagi cadangan tu. Tak payahlah cerita. Okey Tun. So Tun, bila kita tengok balik Tun, karier politik Tun dalam UMNO itu sekalipun begitu orang kata banyak kontroversi, banyak krisis yang Tun hadapi. Macam mana Tun handle krisis-krisis ni Tun? Bila Tun di-challenge, orang kata cabaran tu bukan kecil pula. Kalau kita tengok macam contohnya tahun 1988 ya, Tun, yang pertandingan tu 86, yang mana Tun cuma menang dengan 40 hundi kalau tak salah masa lawan dengan Tengku Razali. Jadi macam mana Tun handle this kind of pressure Tun?
Yang pertamanya, sebelum saya jadi Perdana Menteri, Perdana Menteri yang ketiga Perdana Menteri sebelum saya, mereka terdiri daripada orang kenamaan, elitis, daripada yang generasi, orang yang pernah pegang jawatan, jadi pemimpin. Jadi bila saya jadi Perdana Menteri, orang nampak orang biasa pun boleh jadi Perdana Menteri. Dengan itu timbullah perasaan mereka juga boleh jadi Perdana Menteri. Sebab itu mereka mencabar saya. Kalau saya jatuh, mereka lah
ada peluang
jadi Perdana Menteri. Tetapi saya terima. Kalau orang tak suka kepada saya kalah. Kalau orang suka kepada saya menang. Dan saya menang dalam pertandingan itu, saya menang. Walaupun sikit saja.
Masih menang.
Tapi menang juga.
That's right. Okey Tun, saya boleh cakap pasal pressure ni Tun ya. Bila Tun, saya ingatlah, because masa tu saya dah agak aktif menulis sebagai wartawan. Salah satu keadaan yang saya rasa mungkin yang begitu mendekanlah bagi saya melihat di luar adalah pada tahun 1997-98. Krisis ekonomi, di masa yang sama juga berlaku kata krisis politik di masa yang sama. Di masa yang sama juga Malaysia jadi host kepada Commonwealth Game dan sebagainya. Tidakkah orang kata tekanan itu masa itu boleh, orang kata kalau orang biasa mungkin boleh jadi sakit jantung orang cakap tu. So, macam mana Tun tangani pressure masa itu Tun?
Saya masih ingat masa saya jadi doktor. Setiap masa saya perlu tentukan penyakit orang dan mengubati orang. Itu satu krisis. Saya bila dihadap kepada orang yang sakit, saya kena tahu apa dia sakit, apa ubat dia, macam mana nak pulih. Jadi bagi saya itu perkara biasa. Jadi bila saya masuk dalam arena politik pun, ada masalah. Macam orang sakit lah. Negara sakit. Jadi macam mana nak tangani negara yang sakit itu. Jadi saya punya latihan sebagai doktor menolong saya untuk menghitungkan penyakit-penyakit. Nak tahu daripada mana dia datang, apa sebabnya, apa sebenarnya penyakit ini, apa ubatnya dan bagaimana merawat. Bagi saya masalah pentadbiran sama dengan masalah orang sakit yang datang untuk dirawat oleh saya.
Saya pernah dengar satu ucapan Tun dalam satu event yang saya hadir sebagai wartawan. Tun cerita, Tun apply apa yang cara Tun bekerja sebagai doktor, itulah Tun apply kepada cara Tun handle politik macam Tun cerita tadi. Saya teringat Tun kata, kalau first Tun diagnose apa penyakit dia, lepas tu Tun cari apa cara nak ubat. And then kalau perlu potong, Tun akan potong. Maknanya kalau kaki kau perlu potong. So bila saya tengok, as saya cover Tun, as I grow older dan Tun pun dah makin lama dalam politik masa tu, saya lihat Tun memang apply. Macam bila Tun buat contohnya currency control dengan pegging of the ringgit tu, dia memang unconventional, satu. Dua, Tun went against, orang kata melanggar segala konvensi traditional convention masa tu, and melanggar nasihat daripada IMF, even maybe World Bank, melanggar nasihat daripada IMF, even maybe World Bank pun begitu. Jadi tidakkah Tun takut kalau dia gagal tu, negara akan, mungkin tak hancur, tapi kalau kita lihat negara lain yang hadapi krisis ekonomi, hancur Tun. So Tun tak takut ke masa tu bila Tun buat keputusan sebegitu Tun?
Takut. Tapi saya punya cara macam doktor jugalah. Bila kita dapat satu masalah, tak ada ubat yang begitu 100% berjalan. Kita bagi ubat pun kadang-kadang dia baik, kadang-kadang tidak. Jadi apa juga keputusan yang kita buat ada pros and cons. Mungkin dapat kebaikan, mungkin juga dapat masalah. Jadi bila saya berhadapan dengan ini, saya ambil masa. Saya konsult, saya tanya orang yang cekap dalam bidang finance, dalam bidang bisnes dan sebagainya. Saya tanya mereka. Berkenaan, saya bincang hari-hari. Lepas itu saya dapati bahawa satu daripada caranya ialah kita tentukan exchange rate. Banyak orang tolak. Dia kata kalau kita buat macam itu, kita akan hadapi banyak masalah. Saya ambil kira masalah buat apa pun, kalau tak buat pun masalah. Jadi yang mana satu yang kita pilih? Saya berpendapat lebih baik kita buat sesuatu. Dunia tolak apa yang kita buat ini, seluruh dunia kata ini tak boleh dibuat. Tetapi saya mempunyai cukup maklumat. Umpamanya banyak orang tak tahu, Malaysia ini mempunyai tabung wang yang banyak besar. Dan kita mempunyai duit Amerika ni dalam negara. Dan ataupun kita dah invest, boleh dapat balik duit Amerika. Jadi kerana kita ada tabung itu, kita berani buat tindakan. Kalau jadi sesuatu masalah, kita boleh biayai daripada tabung kita. Banyak negara lain tak ada tabung. Mereka tak simpan duit. Jadi kalau mereka buat, kalau ditentang oleh pasaran, mereka tak tahu nak buat apa. Tapi kita ambil kira semua itu. Sebab itu bila kita nak buat keputusan untuk kita fix exchange rate, kita juga buat keputusan untuk mengadakan jawatan kuasa tertentu, untuk banking finance, untuk settle non-performing loans, untuk settle hutang-hutang yang dilakukan semasa currency kita jatuh. Jadi ada banyak masalah, tapi kita ada cara untuk komiti ini mencadang cara-cara kita mengatasi, dan kita berjaya. Sebab itu kita boleh buat, negara lain tak boleh buat.
Tun, maknanya Tun tiap kali Tun, walaupun Tun ambil risiko, tapi Tun buat calculated risk lah. I would say that Tun dah all things considered, inilah keputusan Tun buat. Hold that thoughts Tun, kita take a short break Tun, nanti kita sambung balik. Terima kasih. Tapi Tun, bila kita cakap takut ni Tun, takut ni tak bawa bebanan ke kepada jantung orang kata ataupun kesihatan Tun sendiri? Tun tak pernah risau ke kalau orang kata kalau buat keputusan yang bahaya macam ni, takut kita buat juga kena heart attack Tun. And Tun pula sebelum tu pun ada orang kata kes bypass dan sebagainya Tun. Macam mana Tun?
Kita ada pilihan. Sama ada kita benar currency kita jatuh kerana currency traders, ataupun kita bertindak walaupun berbahaya. Kedua-duanya berbahaya. Kita buat bandingan antara yang ini. Kalau kita tak bertindak, apa akan jadi? Kalau kita bertindak, apa akan jadi? Tak ada solution, tak ada cara pemulihan yang tidak ada risiko. Semua apa juga yang kita putus, kita mesti berhadapan dengan risiko. Kita boleh tak kita tangani risiko? Dan di antara yang berpendapat kita tak boleh pun ada. Ada yang berpendapat bahawa kita ambil risiko. Dan saya lebih sanggup untuk menerima risiko tindakan lebih daripada risiko tidak bertindak.
Betul, correct.
Jadi antara dua tu apa yang kita buat, kita ambil risiko bertindak, dan kita akan dihadapkan dengan banyak masalah, dan apakah boleh kita tangani masalah. Dan saya dapat feedback, banyak maklumat tentang kedudukan keuangan negara dan sebagainya. Dan saya berpendapat bahawa walaupun ada risiko, kita mungkin boleh atasi risiko kalau kita bertindak. Sebab itu antara dua ini kita pilih bertindak dan bukan terima saja IMF punya
cadangan apa sih. So betul tu. I mean, to us, you're not one who will sit back and watch the country burn. Orang kata, tapi anyway tu, saya kalau boleh nak go deeper into this, tapi because we are looking at Tun punya 100 tahun, orang kata, so I want to go to another benda yang orang pernah timbul pada saya. Orang cerita Tun pergi ke Antartika. Perjalanan ke Antartika tu Tun bukan satu perjalanan yang mudah. Tun pergi daripada saya rasa a port in Argentina, aku tak salah saya. And then bila Tun pergi tu, dalam kapal tu ada dalam 40 orang apa semua. And terpaksa berhadapan dengan orang kata ombak dan olengan kapal tu begitu besar sampai orang kata barang-barang semua kena ikat, kalau tidak gelas apa semua akan berterabur. Malahan orang yang tidur dalam dek pun tercampak sampai ke pintu, orang kata kalau tak ada sekatan boleh jatuh keluar. Tapi orang cerita kat saya Tun, daripada 40 orang yang pergi tu, 40 orang yang pergi ni yang tinggal standing, yang tak, orang kata tak muntah, tak sisik apa semua 7 orang. Termasuklah Tun. And Tun masa itu tahun 2000 Tun umur masa tu dah 75 Tun. Macam mana Tun boleh manage that, orang kata to be one of the 7 magnificent 7 ni, saya kata. Macam mana Tun?
Setengah orang mereka kalau belayar, kalau ada storm ataupun kapal bergolek, mereka tak boleh tahan. Mereka berasa nak muntah. Saya bernasib baik, sekali saja saya experience seasickness masa belayar di Mediterranean, nak balik daripada Eropah. Sekali saja yang saya berasa, lepas tu tak ada dah. Lepas tu goyanglah macam mana pun saya tak berasa nak muntah dan sebagainya. Sebab itu bila kapal itu bergolak, ribut datang apa semua, saya tak berasa apa pun. Tapi kena pegang lah.
Ya, of course. Kalau tidak, tercampak keluar.
Dia pesan, kalau pintu tu buka, jangan pegang tempat tutup tu. Kalau angin kena, pintu tu mungkin tutup sendiri.
Putih jari.
Tangan jari kita. Jadi saya jaga-jagalah. Dan masa itu saya berasa nak makan. Orang lain punya makanan pun saya makan. Jadi orang lain semua tidur.
Tak boleh nak makan ya.
Saya enjoy lah.
But Tun, tapi yalah, walaupun Tun kata Tun, tapi amat luar biasa Tun. At 75 Tun, boleh. Saya Tun, saya tengoklah kawan-kawan saya pun dulu rajin juga pergi ke laut. Bila umur dah naik meningkat sikit Tun, masuk 50 apa, kena oleng sikit Tun, berlari pergi tepi, orang kata, on the side, orang kata kan, tu. But mesti ada something yang Tun boleh jadi macam itu. It's not something yang, kalau dari segi natural ni Tun, orang lain tak boleh Tun. But macam mana Tun at 75? Itu macam seolah-olah nak test. Pada saya lah, it's a real test. Pergi Antartik, orang semua muntah apa semua, Tun umur tu pergi juga, tak muntah, tak apa, boleh enjoy makan lagi macam Tun cakap, makan makanan orang lagi. It's not natural Tun. Apa dia? What is it? There must be something Tun yang Tun amai ke apa?
Saya ingat dia ada kaitan dengan aktif. Saya aktif. Saya naik kuda. Kuda kadang-kadang naik itu kuda, tahulah dia ada fikiran dia sendiri. Kadang-kadang dia tak buat apa yang kita suruh. Saya pergi ke Argentina. Saya naik kuda di atas gunung. Atas gunung susah naik kuda. Kalau tersilap langkah boleh jatuh dalam gaung. Tapi kuda itu cekap, dan saya pun berasa lega duduk atas kuda. Adalah bergolaklah sikit. Turun, naik turun, naik turun. Kadang-kadang sampai daripada Argentina sampai ke Chile. Perenggan dengan Chile.
Ada border tu itu.
Border. Kita ada gambar menunjuk kita dah sampai ke perenggan
Chile.
Tapi tak boleh masuk Chile, pasal Chile dia tak benar orang asing masuk jalan itu. Jadi saya bukan selalunya duduk saja ataupun berjalan biasa saja. Saya naik kuda, saya naik basikal pun saya naik lah. Tapi basikal ikut apa yang kita suruh.
Kuda tak
macam. Saya jatuh kuda 3 kali. 3 kali saya jatuh kuda, tapi tak ada
injury apa tak ada.
Jadi saya punya aktiviti itu taklah selalunya tenang. Ordinary, duduk atas kursi saja, ataupun berjalan di tempat yang selesa.
Tapi Tun, still Tun, pada saya, yes, naik kuda bukan mudah, banyak orang cerita. Tapi Tun, Antartika, I've seen orang kata dokumentari Tun, bila kapal itu dia kena hempas tu Tun, macam tengok cerita The Perfect Storm, orang kata and tak muntah. That's amazing Tun. Pada saya lah tu, itu bukan calang-calang lah orang kata Tun, selain daripada itu Tun, Tun telah memperlihatkan satu, orang kata apa, kepimpinan is one thing, itu kita dah kaji banyak. Tapi as a person Tun memperlihatkan satu disiplin cara hidup yang orang boleh boleh orang kata emulate kalau boleh, and boleh maju tu semua. Semua ni macam seolah-olah is a natural thing pada Tun. Ataupun Tun memang daripada muda Tun sudah pesan pada diri Tun, I must be like this, saya kena buat macam ni supaya saya jadi macam ini. Is that what Tun tekan pada diri Tun sendiri?
Saya selalu cuba semasa di sekolah nak dapat nombor 1 lah. Ada 2 orang aja, satu budak Cina orang, satu saya. Kalau tak dia dapat nombor 1, saya dapat nombor 1. Jadi bila pergi ke belajar perubatan, perubatan saya ketinggalan. Saya punya kelulusan rendah berbanding dengan student lain. Jadi saya nak kena kejar mereka. Untuk itu saya kena serius tentang belajar. Sebab itu saya baca saya baca buku teks banyak kali. Sampai bukanlah saya cuba nak ingat semua, tapi bila kita baca banyak kali, kita nampak muka surat, gambar semua tu kita nampak. Bila kita jawab soalan dalam peperiksaan, kita nampak. Macam biasa, kita jumpa dengan kawan, kita tahu kawan kita, rupa dia macam mana, apa. Bukan kita hafal. Kita pas jumpa kerap, kita tahu muka dia, suara dia, cara dia berjalan, apa semua. Mengejar ilmu pun macam itu. Dan saya belajar, saya berpendapat bahawa kalau kita buat sesuatu banyak kali, kita jadi cakap. Saya ukir kayu umpamanya, pada mula uduk. Lepas tu demi sedikit dia jadi cantik balik lah. Jadi saya punya nasihat kepada anak muda, kalau mereka ketinggalan dalam bidang pelajaran, usaha lebih. Kena baca buku lebih banyak kali.
Kena ulang.
Saya baca buku banyak kali. Kalau buku teks. Kadang-kadang buku lain pun, kalau saya dapat dia menarik, saya baca.
Orang Melayu dulu tu memang ada bahasa kita guna, ulang kaji. Maknanya kita ada exam, pergi ulang kaji. Maknanya ulang
berkali-kali.
Yes, betul.
Sekali dua tak cukup.
That's right.
Kita jumpa dengan satu orang. Kita jumpa dengan dia berkenal dengan kita, dia mengenalkan diri dia. Tapi sekali tu aja. Lepas tu kita jumpa dia, kita tak ingat.
Muka dia.
Tapi kalau kita jumpa dia hari-hari, bunyi dia batuk pun kita tahu.
Tak kenal tu.
Di rumah saya dulu, kalau bapa saya balik, dengar dia batuk, masing-masing semua lari baca buku.
Tapi Tun bila bercakap pasal apa yang Tun dah lakukan, pencapaian Tun, apa yang agaknya yang mungkin Tun boleh kongsi yang Tun rasa sedikit kesal ataupun rasa mungkin Tun gagal? Kita tahu dari segi politik, saya pernah dengar Tun cakap Tun dah cuba, dah menangis, dah merayu, dah apa, orang Melayu masih tak berubah. Tapi dalam keadaan yang sama, apa selain daripada isu politik yang begitu, apa benda lain yang mungkin Tun ada, orang kata tersimpan dalam hati sampai ini yang Tun rasa macam I wish saya buat differently ke, ataupun saya harap saya patut marah orang ke, I mean whatever, apa yang Tun boleh kongsi sikit dengan kita Tun?
Saya tak mudah kecewa. Walaupun saya gagal berkali-kali, saya cuba juga. Saya nak jadikan diri saya sebagai contoh. Kalau saya suruh orang buat kerja kuat, saya kena kerja kuat. Kalau saya suruh orang buat sesuatu, saya kena buat. Saya buat. Umpamanya naik kuda. Dulu tak popular. Lepas tu bila saya naik kuda, semua orang nak naik kuda. Naik basikal pun macam tu. Bila saya perkenalkan, tu ada Langkawi. Dulu tak ada orang, budak-budak muda yang naik basikal. Lah ni hari-hari mereka dapat basikal, mereka kayuh
selagi mau
batu-batu jauh. Kadang-kadang sampai 100 batu mereka kayuh. Jadi kalau kita boleh jadi sebagai model, itu satu cara kita nak promote, nak majukan sesuatu.
So Tun, itu maknanya saya pegang balik pada Tun dulu, Tun promote konsep kepimpinan melalui tauladan. So that's part of it lah ya Tun. Okey Tun, bila kita tengok pula lagi Tun, sekarang ni lepas Tun dah jadi PM, pencapaian kita cerita tadi semua masa Tun masih PM, Tun jadi PM kali kedua tu ada tempoh. Tapi saya nak bincang daripada Tun retire tahun 2003 ataupun Tun berhenti masa tahun 2003, 2004 sampai tak sekarang, apa yang pencapaian yang Tun nampak selain daripada politik Tun, yang Tun rasa satu kepuasan daripada tahun 2003 sampai 2025?
Saya nak cari kejayaan negara.
Tun tak apa.
Saya kecewa kerana dasar-dasar yang memajukan negara digugur dan diganti dengan dasar lain yang tak baik. dan dengan itu negara pun tak dapat kemajuan. Jadi pada masa itu saya tak nak terlibat dengan politik. Saya ingat saya nak berehat lah, dah besar ni, kita betul. Macam orang pension lah. Tapi banyak orang datang polis minta tolong, do something, buatlah sesuatu. Kita ni rosak banyak negara boleh buat sesuatu. Jadi saya nak tolak semua tak boleh lah. Jadi bila orang datang minta saya tolong, saya tolong. Bukan saja, kadang-kadang personal pun saya tolong juga. Kadang-kadang ada pinjam duit pun ada juga. Kita bagi juga lah. Tapi tak dapat beli lah.
Betul lah.
Jadi apa yang kita, bila kita masih hidup, masih berada, kita tak boleh nak duduk diam. Saya tak tahu macam mana orang nak boleh rehat. Kononnya dah apa nama, besar. Dah besar, rehat dua kira nak bersedia untuk meninggal lah. Dan sedia tak sedia pun kita akan meninggal. Jadi saya itu pun saya buat, tapi yang lain ni pun baik juga lah.
Saya selalu pegang Tun Amir. Saya dah beberapa kali buat interview dengan Tun. Yang paling saya rasa agak memberi semangat lah pada saya bila saya pun dah start mula berumur, orang kata apa kan tu, bahawa Tun kata satu yang saya selalu ingat, there's no retirement. Tidak ada persaraan dalam Islam. Selagi kita nak buat ibadah tu tak pula terangkum pada fardu ain. Tun selalu cakap, ingat ada dua, fardu kifayah dengan fardu ain. Fardu ain tu Tun buatlah dalam bilik, saya nak buat dalam bilik. Fardu kifayah untuk masyarakat. And Tun pada saya lah, itu pesanan yang saya rasa patut jadi inspirasi pada saya, golongan saya, kumpulan-kumpulan saya, dan juga pada anak-anak muda yang lain. Tapi bila kita cakap pasal ibadah Tun, perjuangan ni Tun, adakah ia satu ibadah? Saya tahu Tun cakap ibadah. Can you explain konsep perjuangan itu satu ibadah Tun?
Ya, masa saya kecil, saya dengar cerita kononnya dunia ni untuk orang kafir. Orang Islam dia akan dapat balasan di akhirat. Itu saya terima. Semua orang kata macam itu. Tapi bila saya membesar, saya menyoal diri saya, takkanlah Tuhan bagi segala kebaikan kepada orang kafir dan kita menderita? Tak betul. Saya ingat bila saya berasa tak betul, saya nak tengok apa yang tertulis dalam Al-Quran. Jadi saya baca Quran. Kalau saya baca Quran dalam bahasa Arab, saya tak faham. Saya baca Quran dalam bahasa Melayu, bahasa Inggeris. Dan saya dapati Quran, larangan Quran tu kita tak hirau. Yang disuruh kita buat, kita buat. Kita tak buat. Jadi kita, walaupun kita orang Islam, buat ibadat, semayang, puasa, zakat, buat kerja haji, tapi dalam kehidupan kita, kita tak hidup sebagai orang Islam. Kerana orang Islam ni ada cara hidup dia ditentukan dalam Quran. Sebab itu saya sekali lagi baca Quran banyak kali. Sekali terkup,
kena ulang.
Baca banyak kali dan saya dapati kalau kita berpandu dengan ajaran Quran, kita akan percaya. Kita tak akan tipu, kita tak akan bunuh orang, kita tetap adil, kita tidak zalim. Semua ini ajaran dalam Quran, tapi kita tak lakukan. Kita kata kita Islam, tapi fardu ain kita tunai, fardu kifayah kita dengar orang lain punya
tanggungjawab.
Tafsiran.
So Tun, I have to conclude kita punya session ni bahasa Melayu ni Tun. Saya conclude yang Tun, terima kasih banyak Tun Dr Mahathir. Perjuangan Tun tak selesai, and please continue Tun. Don't stop doing what you're doing Tun. Terima kasih banyak Tun. Selamat hari jadi Tun.
For as long as I can, I will serve my country. I will serve myself. I will serve my country. Because to me, that is what I feel is my,
Your calling.
My mission, so to speak. Not to say it's a mission, but I think when you can do something to help, you help. And to me, seeing the people in Gaza being massacred, and I cannot help, I feel very sad.
I know.
I feel very sad because there's nothing I can do. I was thinking that if Malaysia becomes a developed country, we can be more influential.
Okay, terima kasih banyak Tun. Selamat hari jadi, selamat ulang tahun yang ke-100. Terima kasih banyak. Assalamualaikum Tun. Thank you very much Tun for sparing some time for us to have this session. Usually we hold this session in Malay Tun. We have done the Malay episode earlier, but for the benefit of your admirers from all over the world Tun, who have made requests, making comments in some of our earlier episodes in Malay, saying that why can't you have it in English so that they could share and view Tun. So thank you very much Tun again. And this is a special occasion for us. This is your 100th birthday, and the fact that being able to achieve that milestone, that in itself to us is a miracle. Congratulations, I think it's in order.
Thank you.
So Tun, first we'll start Tun. What makes you think until you're 100 years Tun? I mean, I know it's a very broad question, but still, I think that's a very fair question.
Well, I didn't make an effort to live long, but I look after my health. I practice certain things that I think contribute towards a healthy life. But the most important thing is that I did not suffer from fatal diseases. Actually, I had heart problem.
Yes.
But today, heart problem can be treated.
Yes.
Open heart surgery can be done. Even medication, there is some medication nowadays. Before there was none. Before, if you have a heart problem, that's the end of you.
Yes.
But now only cancer cannot be treated.
Yes.
So I am fortunate in that I do not suffer from cancer.
I see.
So if you don't suffer from fatal disease, you should be able to live quite a long time.
Yeah.
But that is conditional upon your way of life.
Yes. But Tun, living a long life, well, I mean, that is probably the dua of most of us. But at the same time, Tun, living a long life without being, I would say, being able to contribute, being able to do things that makes you happy. I mean, living a long life, but you're not being able to do things, you're not able to go out there and that in itself is something that I don't think most people want. I mean, if you're going to be bedridden, even if you know, and you Tun, at 100 is still as active. Sometimes people say it's even comparable to some of those who are probably half your age, Tun. But how do you manage your day, Tun? I mean, today you woke up, you're 100 years. How do you, when you woke up, I'm sure you're aware you're 100 because everybody keeps talking about it. You may not want to talk about it, but everybody keeps talking about it. Everybody reminds you. So you woke up, you're 100 years, Tun. So what goes through your mind?
Yeah, but I have always been active.
Yeah.
I cannot understand people wanting to rest. I mean, if you take a holiday, you do something, you go on a holiday, that is doing something.
Yeah.
But some people retire,
yeah,
and they want to rest. What is the meaning of rest? You do nothing? I mean, you are alive, you are capable, and you don't make use of this gift that you have, gift of God,
yeah,
that you have mind and body, you're still functioning.
Yeah.
So to me, so long as I can function, I want to function.
Yeah.
I want to behave almost as if I'm not getting old.
Yeah.
I try to live the same life that I lived when I was younger.
Yeah.
I work, I come to office, I attend functions and all that. And I think being active is what keeps me alive. Make use of your body and mind,
yeah,
then it will function. You fail to make use of your body and mind, it deteriorates. It becomes weaker and weaker, and soon your age makes you unable to function.
Yeah. It is about being aged and aging, Tun. So you age pretty gracefully. That's what we can. I mean, you're a living example of orang kata that phrase, getting old gracefully, Tun. And you know, sometimes, as I said, Tun, a lot of people wonder, you know, when people who are 30 years your junior, when they do interviews, they say, they pointed out, Tun looks younger than the person interviewing him. I mean, I think in this case, they'll probably be saying the same thing, you know, that I may look older than you, Tun. But nevertheless, Tun, Tun have achieved so many milestones in your life, Tun. What other milestone are you trying to achieve? I mean, I wouldn't say try, because I don't think you when you were doing all those things, you were trying to achieve a milestone or certain milestone. But what other milestones do you think that you could achieve?
Yeah, when you talk about achieve a milestone,
yeah,
it means that you are trying to do it.
Yeah.
But in my case, I was not trying to do it.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be Prime Minister. Yeah. But circumstances were such that I was in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
And I became Prime Minister.
Yeah.
It's accidental.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to tell people that if two people did not die, I wouldn't be Prime Minister.
Yeah.
You see? And I was, in that sense, I was fortunate,
yeah,
but it's not fortunate for them because
yeah,
they died early.
Yes.
So because of that, I became Prime Minister. And that was the single biggest milestone in my life.
Yeah.
Because then suddenly I was projected into a position of authority, becoming Prime Minister. And as Prime Minister, I felt I could do a lot more things.
Mm-hmm. So when you got that power, I mean, accidental or that divine intervention or divine decision, how do you feel with that power, Tun? I mean, this is an immense power, Tun. It's not a small thing. When it came to your shoulder, Tun, I mean, when it fell upon your shoulder, how do you feel, Tun? How do you manage it after that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I don't like people to run me down for doing something that is wrong.
Yeah.
So I want people to appreciate what little I could do. So I avoided doing the things with abusing the power that I had. I could have become very rich as Prime Minister, but I chose not to do that. I chose to do something that may contribute towards other people feeling that what I have done is worthwhile. So there are many things, of course, that I did during the time when I was Prime Minister. And they were done because I thought this is what people want. I didn't ask what I want. What I want is just not to be condemned for doing wrong things. That's what I want. But what people want is a better life for them in this country. And what could I do? Many things, I think.
Okay. Tun, one of your trademark, Tun, ever since you became a Prime Minister, the first time, Tun, in particular, you were someone who stood up, in particular against the West, or what we would say the former Western colonial powers. You showed it in your action, you did it in your decisions and whatnot, Tun. That seems to be something that drove you, Tun. I mean, what was the background which made that to become your single most, at that time, legacy, if I could use that word, Tun?
I was born at a time when Malaysia was practically a colony of the British. But not only the British. Before that, we were under the Portuguese, then the Dutch, then the British. And in the case of Kedah, Perlis, Kelantan, and Terengganu, we were conquered by the Japanese. The Japanese invaded and conquered us. And then the Japanese gave these 4 countries to Thailand. At that time, it was known as Siam. So I lived under the Japanese, under the Siamese, and then back to the British. So I lived under colonial masters, and I didn't like it. I thought that, why should I be under them? What is wrong with me? What is so great about them? So I studied their history and all that, and I find that the British in particular were very, many ways, very inconsiderate. They take over other people's country through the gun. They kill people. I mean, America is America today because they kill all the Red Indians. And many countries experience that. So I thought that this is wrong. Well, Malaysia was fortunate. We were not conquered. We submitted by asking for the British to advise us. And the British, for them, to advise us means to take over our country. But I couldn't accept that I should be regarding them as my masters.
Your superiors.
Because in Malay, we call the British Tuan. Tuan means master. Why should they be our masters? So this affected me. And then when the British decided that they should seize the Malay states to make the Malay Union, I thought that was the last straw. I couldn't accept it. I don't want to be under British rule directly, and I had to oppose them. And since then, whenever they do something wrong, I felt a need to tell them, look, this is wrong. I mean, if they are doing right things, I have no problem. But I think the idea of Malay Union, for example, was wrong. When we became independent, they should disregard for our independence, behaving as if we are still their colony. That I couldn't accept.
Tun, when you became the Prime Minister, Tun, I mean the early stages of your premiership, among others, Tun, you were doing things which basically was snubbing the British in the face. You took over Karkosa Srinagar, I mean Bukit Karkosa, which was given to the British for their High Commission, and then after that you had issues of buy British last, you know. So when you were doing that, Tun, was there no fear that there would be retaliation? I mean, today when we read it, it seems like, oh, it's something that is easy to do, it's the natural thing to do. But I'm sure at that time, given the fact that the British had a lot of control in terms of especially even in our economic activities. And when you did that, did you not fear repercussions, retaliation from these former colonial masters, so to speak?
Well, I was told by some of the civil servants that if I do this thing, the British might retaliate. Well, I thought we'll have to accept it, that when we do something for ourselves, others may not appreciate, others may think it is attacking their status. So I thought that when we gave Kakosa was built on a hill in the middle of Kuala Lumpur, and they were flying the British flag there, almost as if we are still a colony. I couldn't accept that. So I wangled it there, told somebody to take back Kakosa. We'll give them a place for their High Commission, but not in the middle of Kuala Lumpur on the highest hill. You see a British Union Jack flying. That is not acceptable. Because we were already independent, and we must show that this country is Malaysia. It's an independent country, and the highest flag should be a Malaysian flag.
Our flag, yes, Tun. But you know, Tun, this that is probably something that could have caused a major diplomatic row. I mean, Britain at that time, even though it was no more colonial power, but it was still considered one of the leading Western country in the world. Tun. You stood up against them. Then you decide to do the Buy British Last, you know, as a point of proving a point. I think Tun masa tu at that time, because they were unilaterally charging our students higher student fees, if I'm not mistaken. So when you did that, Tun, did you not anticipate what may be the repercussion, or you were already very clear but what you expect the outcome to be?
Well, we expect the British to feel unhappy about it, yes. But I had an opportunity to meet with Mrs. Thatcher in London. And I told Mrs. Thatcher, you're doing the wrong thing. You know, when you raise the fees on our students, we will send our students to other countries. And these students, if they study in UK, when they come back, they recommend everything British, because that is what they are familiar with. When you impose higher fee, we send our students to other countries, you are losing trade. Then she realized that there is a cost for that. That you may save some money by charging higher fees, but at the same time you are undermining the export of British goods to Malaysia. Then she decided, we must give scholarships to the Malaysian
students. Again, Tun, talking about the Buy British Last and the way you deal with the British, then there was also at the same time there was that decision to depart from being Western centric, or West. We were before that Western, to go look east. I mean, it was a very sharp departure. I mean, everybody, even our top civil servant, our even politicians, were all basically graduates from British universities. You know, when they decide to go all the way to the other extreme, to east. I mean, to Japan in particular. I mean, South Korea was part of it. So when you made that decision, what went through your mind?
Well, before I became Prime Minister, I had an opportunity to visit many countries, including Europe and the Far East in Japan and all that. And I noticed that the Europeans were regressing. Their ideas and all that are not good for development. In fact, they were having problems. For example, they tend to be socialistic. But when you have higher pay, the cost of your production goes up, and you cannot compete in the market. And when I went to Japan, I was impressed because the Japanese had rebuilt their country within a short while. I went to Japan in 1961, about 50 years after the surrender. Japan was bombed. 1/3 of Japan was smashed to pieces, burnt, because the Japanese built houses of wood and paper. But they had rebuilt very quickly. And you don't see evidence of the disaster, the destruction caused by war. So I thought, hey, the Japanese know something which is good for them, and they are better than the Europeans who good grow through setting up empires using their guns to capture, to conquer countries. So of the two, which one should I choose? I decided that there is something to be learned from the Japanese. That is why eventually we had our Look East policy.
But Tun, I think it was quite a strategic decision, Tun, because if you were to look at the way how the West were degenerating, I mean, not only in terms of their economic prowess, but we were also looking at the degeneration of even their social values and whatnot. And you look to Japan. Japan to you was not just about an economic powerhouse, but it was also about their value system. What were the values, though? I mean, we know, but what were the values that attracted you most about them?
Yeah, the sense of shame. The Japanese have a strong sense of shame. When they do something that is shameful, they, in the old days, they actually commit suicide, harakiri. They cannot stand shame. So they want to do something that is admired by people, looked up to people by people, and people don't run down their products or look down upon their products. So because of that, their products achieve quality, because they are worried that their products may be rejected by other people because of the poor quality. So the Japanese tried their best to produce everything of the highest quality, even handicraft. You look at the handicraft that they produce, they are perfect. And they want people to say, this is a good product. They don't want people to say, oh, what is a low quality of your product? Because then they would feel ashamed. To avoid feeling ashamed, they have to ensure that whatever they do is admired by people.
So to them, Tun, I mean, based on what you're saying, is that failure is not an option, Tun. Everything must be perfect in that sense, Tun. But Tun, when we talk about this departure from being Western-centric to Eastern-centric, you have to deal with also a society, I mean, the Malaysian community, which is basically very highly influenced by the West. We are talking about the policy makers, the opinion makers and whatnot. Then you're dealing with trying to turn the masses, which had no exposure, or not much exposure to either the Brits or the Japanese. How do you try to infuse all this into a nation that you are building? I mean, it's basically almost like a raw nation. You know, it's a raw material. I mean, the thing that you need to shape into something.
Well, our people must know the world better. We used to send all our students to the West, to UK, to America. And to them, the world is UK, America. That is the world. And they try to emulate, they try to copy. And for a long time, they believed that only the West can produce results, that the East cannot produce results, because in those days, the East were very poor. But when we see the Japanese, we found that they can do things better than the West. And they are concerned about the people, but not in the way the Western people are concerned. The Western people tend to react by saying that, well, we must give more power to workers because they are the depressed people. We must give more freedom to the women because they are focused on that. But the Japanese, the women don't take much role, don't have much role in their society. They were the tea ladies. But in Japan, the people are worried that they may not be able to compete with the West. So they work very hard to show that what they do is better than the West. And as you can see, eventually they were able to compete and defeat the West. In those days, when we have motor cars in Malaysia, for example, there were Austin cars, Morris cars, all British-made cars, or Mercedes. But the Japanese began with very poor quality cars, but they improve and improve. And today, you hardly see any Western cars on the streets, except for some Mercedes, of course.
Yeah.
But most of the cars now are Japanese. What does that mean?
Yeah.
That means the Japanese can catch up and overtake, be ahead of the West in terms of technology.
Yeah.
So when we noticed that they were growing, that Japan can be number one,
Yeah.
at that time it was still early, and we thought that yes, Japan can be number one.
Yeah.
And who should we copy? We should copy successful people,
Yes,
not
yes.
failures.
Okay, talking about that, Tun, yeah. I mean, if we look at the transition, Tun, first we look how the West, in particular UK, America, in terms of their dominance in production of cars, in particular, you know, and Japan have taken over, and then South Korea came into the picture. Of late, South Korea have also been very successful. But today, Tun, we are talking about China, Tun. I mean, if you look today at cars, in particular, if we're talking about the electric cars segment, it is almost totally dominated by Chinese cars. So, did you ever see China becoming this big in terms of technological industrialization as how you had anticipated with Japan and South Korea?
Yeah. We were producing proton cars before China ever had any car.
Yes.
Well, China did build some big cars for their VIPs, but we actually exhibited proton car in China. We sent to China about 6 proton cars to show how far ahead we were in terms of automotive technology.
Industry.
And we thought that they would be behind. In fact, Lee Kuan Yew told me, there is nothing to be afraid of China. China is far behind us. We will always be ahead of China. That's what he told me. Obviously, China did not impress him at that time.
Yeah.
Then they have a change of leadership. And they decided that although they were communists, they should adopt some of the capitalist ways of doing things. Because they noticed that in the countries that practice capitalism, the people were much richer. They went to America, they see motor cars parked by the thousands at factories belonging to the workers. Yet in China, not a single worker or even an executive had a car. So China decided that there are some things done by the capitalists which benefited them. So China decided to change their socialism to include some of the capitalist practices. But the Chinese are, you must remember, the Chinese were civilized long before the Europeans.
Yes.
4,000 years ago, they were already civilized. I mean, they have the capacity to build a great wall. They invented silk, for example. They invented a water wheel. They invented explosive, China ware. A lot of things were invented by the Chinese at a time when the Europeans were still very primitive. So the capacity is there. It's the direction that is important. When the government decided to adopt some of the capitalist practices, the capacity of the Chinese to quickly catch up was already there. And so they decided that they should acquire all the knowledge, all the skills, all the technology of the West very quickly, and they should compete with the West. And you see China today performing beyond what is expected of that country when we saw it, say, 50 years ago.
Yeah. Tun, you have witnessed, I mean, throughout all these years that you've been active, and you're still active, the growth of nations and the fall of nations. China, Tun, have grown so tremendously beyond a lot of people's expectation. In fact, there is a news report that I heard on BBC News. We said that people are looking into the future when they start talking about electronic cars, for example. But in terms of China, the future has come to them today, basically saying that they are already there. But along with this new industrialization drive and successes in their automotive industry, they also become quite, or perceived to be, belligerent. We used to believe that China is never keen in terms of expansion or what, but they have shown certain degree of, again, the word belligerent, especially if you're talking about the South China Sea, dominance over certain parts of the islands, Spratlys and whatnot, and also their regular threat towards Taiwan, for example. So do you see China ending up, as it becomes more and more successful, to end up like the West? Like America, for that matter, which continues to be that, I would say, a war economy, for that matter. Do you see that happening with China?
Yeah, when we talk about China, automatically we think of China as Western people think of China. Western people think China is a competitor, that it should not be the leader in the world. But you must remember that the West was exploiting the world long before China was exploiting the world. China was a great power long ago. They were the Middle Kingdom, but they did not conquer. They kept themselves to their country. Of course, they were very influential, but Malaysia was not conquered by them. Neither is Vietnam or other countries. They did not conquer. They did fight, but they did not conquer and occupy and colonize. That is what the Chinese did. And until now, they have not done so. But they want to expand. Now, the Western people expanded by capturing or conquering many parts of the world, setting up trading stations. And as a result, the world becomes a part of the empire of the West. China has not yet done that, although it is very belligerent in a way, claiming South China Sea as belonging to China. But what has it done in the South China Sea? It has not stopped people from sailing through. Even American warships can sail through. They were not stopped, they were not examined, they were not treated as invading into Chinese territory. And even our island, artificial island, Pulau Layang-Layang, in the South China Sea, is still there. Now, what is the relation with Taiwan? Now, China, I think, could have conquered Taiwan long ago if it wanted to, because it is so huge and Taiwan is so small by comparison. But China did not. Why not? The reason is that Taiwan is useful to China as a self-governing part of China, because Taiwan has the technology, Taiwan is rich, is investing in China. Many Taiwanese visit China as tourists. So China finds Taiwan as it is very useful to China. But if you conquer China, immediately you cut Taiwan from the rest of the world, and you can have access to technology
which Taiwan
of the West, for example. So China would like to leave Taiwan as it is. It will claim that Taiwan is a part of China, but it will let Taiwan, relatively speaking, be autonomous. So that is the policy of China.
Yes.
If he wants to conquer Taiwan, he can do so even now.
Yes.
I mean, from the mainland, he can send rockets and things
Yes.
into Taiwan and destroy everything.
Yes.
But you know, Taiwan has got the most modern factories to produce microprocessors.
Yes.
These are very essential to all kinds of products.
Yes.
They are way ahead of the rest of the world. And China wants Taiwan to continue to be the way ahead, because China can tap the technology from Taiwan.
Correct, sir.
And I think if China conquers Taiwan, then you will lose that opportunity.
Yeah. Okay, Tun, can you just hold that thought, Tun? We'll just take a short break. Okay, Tun, we're back, Tun. So, okay, Tun, one of the things that I think you have always been consistently concerned about, I would say, and consistently very vocal about would be the plight of the Palestinians. If anything, Tun, would you consider that one of the issues that would continue, that have been bothering you from the past until now, and do you see any solution to it in your lifetime, at least?
Once there was Palestine, where the people were mostly Arabs, but also Jews. They were there. And there was no war, there was no fighting, there was confrontation. Of course, the Jews and the Arabs never got on well, but there was no violence. Then the Europeans decided to give the Jews a country. And which country did they choose? They chose Palestine.
Yeah.
Without asking for the holding a plebiscite, determining what is the opinion of the Palestinians there. Yes. The Europeans created Israel out of Palestine. I want to ask an American, what would happen if we take Texas, for example, and give it to the Israelis? He didn't answer. He didn't.
Yeah, he refused to. Yeah.
I don't think he likes the idea.
Yeah.
You see, you can't take another country and give it to another country.
To another group of
it's
people.
Wrong.
Yeah.
But that is what the Europeans and the Americans did. And so that was the beginning of things.
Yeah.
The Jews went there, they migrated there, and they expelled the Arabs there. Yeah. These people became refugees from the early days when Israel was created. The Arab Palestinians became refugees. They had to migrate to other places where they were refugees,
yes.
Having to depend on support and aid and the like. Yes. But not only that, they tried to get back their land, of course, but they failed because the Europeans helped the Jews. And the Jews, after defeating the Arabs, the Jews began to build settlement on Arab soil. This has never been done by anybody. No country has ever built settlements in another country. But the Jews have done that. What do the Europeans do? Nothing. They allowed the Jews to basically go against international law. And then, of course, the Jews began to oppress the Palestinians. They used to kill Palestinians. Thousands were killed. They used to arrest Palestinians and detain them for indefinite period. Thousands of Palestinians are detained. And the families of the Palestinians couldn't get access to the people who were detained. And the settlements were very belligerent. They keep on building more and more settlements. Now, how for the Palestinians to get back the people who were detained, what could they do? They couldn't fight. They couldn't fight against Israel. Israel was supported by America. They couldn't fight. I think Hamas must have thought that if they could get Jewish hostages, they could change the hostage for the Palestinians who were detained. And I think that was why they raided Israel. They captured a number of Jews and used them as hostages, and they wanted to change the hostage for the Palestinians who have been detained. They never expected the Jews to commit genocide. The Jews, they know the Palestinians would not kill the hostages because they need the hostages to change. So they committed genocide, killing thousands. By the time they had a short ceasefire, they had killed already 60,000 Palestinians. 60,000. And wounded more than 100,000 Palestinians. So when that happens in a civilized society, society would intervene, would stop it, because this is a crime, an international crime. Genocide is a crime. The international society should stop. How could they stop? They should send a peacekeeping force, for example. But they couldn't. They would like to send a peacekeeping force, but America cast a veto and refused to allow any help to be given to the Palestinians. Not even food, not even water. So what is the Palestinian going to do? They can, of course, vacate and leave Gaza to the Jews, but this is their land. They don't want to leave their land. They don't want their land to be conquered. So they stayed there, and they are being killed every day. Now every day they kill 100 Palestinians. Not only men and women, but children, babies are killed. So this is genocide on a terrible scale. The world should put a stop to that. But the world cannot put a stop, because behind this is America. And if you try, America will apply sanctions, will do everything to destroy your country. So the world had to abide by the decision made by America. And now Trump, for example, said that he can stop there can be a ceasefire. I think the terms he offered the Hamas is certainly not acceptable, because I'm quite sure what he's telling Hamas is, you leave Gaza. To the Jews, you get out of Gaza. How can Hamas agree to that? And they said, Hamas is recalcitrant, not willing to have peace. But this is not peace. This is conquest. And Hamas cannot do that. So at this moment, the war is actually America versus Hamas. Because behind the Jews are the Americans. They are supplying the weapons. They are supplying the money. They are protecting Israel in the United Nations with their veto power. I think this is the greatest injustice ever seen in modern times. And it is significant in that it marks the collapse of human civilization. Because we were talking in the past about human rights, about the sanctity of life, about freedom and all that. There is no freedom for the
Palestinian
people in Gaza. The Americans have gone against all the things that the world believes in. America is committing international crime.
Tun, actually, Tun, I mean, personally, I'm not very surprised with what America is doing, Tun, because after all, Tun, America itself is built as a, we would say, settler colonialism, very much like what the Israelis, the Zionists are doing, Tun. So, as I said, Tun, you have fought on the international front. You have fought for the Bosnians, Tun. There was success. I mean, whether it is partial or what, it brought an end to that genocide, Tun. But I think this is one thing that you would probably not see any solution or anything that could probably calm our anger, Tun.
Well, in Bosnia, the regime was to allow for a peacekeeping force.
Yes.
And Malaysia participated in the peacekeeping force. And we did help Bosnian to a certain extent to protect them, to defend themselves.
Yes.
It is the right of everyone to defend yourself. But to say that the Gazan people have no right to defend themselves, that they should surrender all weapons to the Israelis, that is not acceptable.
Yes.
A country, people have the right to protect themselves from aggression.
Yes. Tun, Dr. Mahathir, thank you very much. You have been an inspiration to most of us, Tun, and I'm sure you would continue to be one. And before we end the session, Tun, would you like to extend some, I mean, there are a lot of well wishes, Tun. Would you like to extend some thanks to them, Tun, online?
I've been receiving a lot of good wishes on my birthday, my 100th birthday. I would like to say thank you very much to all those people who have sent cakes, flowers, and letters, and also personally turn up to wish me happy 100th birthday. You know, to be 100 is quite frightening. But I woke up very early this morning. Not because I decided to, but I did not hear the clock. So I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But today begins a normal day.
Yes.
We have a podcast like this. We have a chance to meet people.
Yes.
Normally, a lot of people came to see me, but today, of course, more people than usual.
It's extra. Yes.
So, thank you very much. And thank you for the podcast, because it enabled me to explain many issues which I have always tried to do something about.
Yes.
Yeah, I am glad I received a letter from a note from Anwar Ibrahim, PMX, wishing me a good birthday, 100th birthday. Thank you.
Thank you, Tun. Thank you very much. Happy birthday again, Tun.
Thank you.